What is the unseen official prologue to the events just before the opening of Fallout New Vegas most fans have probably never heard of? In this video, we will explore how Benny first left the strip in search of the courier, also why he allied with the Great Khans seen at the courier's execution, and the trials they faced to make it to Good Springs unblemished. Amazingly, there are multiple in-game landmarks that have direct ties to the prologue and the events leading up to the courier's own grisly fate. So without further ado, let's explore Fallout New Vegas' disturbing prologue, originally found in the graphic novel titled All Roads, written by Chris Avellone.
From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
The story of All Roads takes place a week before the events of Fallout New Vegas. Benny's sitting in his suite and observing the New Vegas Strip. He laments that Vegas is his kind of town. Meanwhile, at Red Rock Canyon, a hulking Great Khan named Chase leans against a painted rock, passed out after a night of alcohol and chem abuse. He's approached by Jessup, who asks if Chance is coming back to them. Jessup observes the rock Chance painted and proceeds to point a gun at the Khan, urging him to forget Bitter Springs. Suddenly, Chance leaps up and grabs Jessup's gun hand. Happy that Chance is conscious, Jessup tells him that they have a job to do. As Benny's preparing to leave the Tops Casino for business, Swank wonders where he's going. Benny asks if Swank has a problem, though his right-hand man only expresses a dislike of Benny putting out his cigarettes on the floor as they leave a trail you can smell from a mile away. Benny tells him that minding his floor isn't Swank's business and asks how things are downstairs. Swank informs him that they're running low on talent, and although Tommy is working on getting some new acts, he could use some help. Benny is unsympathetic and asks if the singer has been taken care of. Pulling a vial laced with psycho from his pocket, Swank says that word on the strip is that the singer died of an overdose, though the rest of the chairmen aren't happy with his passing as they liked the man. Swank goes on to say that if Benny wanted the singer dead, Swank could have simply killed him directly, as it would have been the way that they would have handled things back when they were riding the Mojave. Benny angrily tells Swank that if he wants to go back to the old days, he's free to leave. Swank apologetically tells Benny that he only meant that a direct kill would have been honest, since the singer didn't know there was psycho in the vial. Benny smiles and tells him the only thing in the vial is Vegas. Back at Red Rock Canyon, McMurphy and some other Khans are gathered around a crudely drawn map in the dirt, planning their route. The other Great Khans wonder who they're doing the job for, if it's raider work, and if they're going to kill NCR soldiers. McMurphy informs them that they won't be raiding or killing any NCR troopers. Just then, they're joined by Jessup and Chance. Chance pulls out a knife and proceeds to draw a much more detailed map in the place of the old. McMurphy points out that Chance forgot something, to which the towering Khan plunges his knife deep in the dirt and twists, creating a gaping hole under which he writes, Vegas. A voice behind them claims that this wasn't his experience of Vegas. With Benny's arrival, the Khans journey south of Red Rock Canyon. As night falls, the group makes camp. As the Khans observe Benny, McMurphy asks why they're hunting for some courier, but Benny simply tells him that this is the job. Jessup wonders if this courier has wronged Benny somehow, but Benny informs him that he doesn't want the courier as much as what they're carrying. Jessup notes that the chip sounds valuable, but Benny claims that it's only valuable to him. Jessup goes on to ask if the courier will be accompanied by any bodyguards, but Benny says that they'll be alone, as it's a covert mission. Jessup wonders if the courier will simply give them the package, but Benny says that it will be better if they killed the courier so as not to leave any loose ends. Jessup angrily tells Benny that he knows who he is and that he could simply employ other chairmen to do his dirty work. Jessup is, therefore, suspicious that Benny would seek out the Khans instead, and is adamant that their tribe doesn't kill for New Vegas caps. Benny assures him that he'll be the one to pull the trigger, putting an end to the argument. As Benny is standing in front of the bonfire, Chance stares at him, reminded once more of the Bitter Springs massacre. Noticing that Chance is suffering from withdrawal, Benny asks if Chance is clean and clearly worried. Jessup and McMurphy assure him that Chance is good in a fight and that the Khans carry their own. The next day, as they're traveling south, Jessup discreetly asks if he's noticed Benny's lighter, clearly planning to steal it. McMurphy warns him off such an action, as the wrath of New Vegas is the last things the Great Khans need, reminding him that the city already absorbed 3 tribes and turned them into families. Jessup is surprised to learn that Benny is a tribal, but McMurphy points out that Benny is the one setting the pace. Benny notices Chance shadowing him and briefly tries to make conversation with the Khan, even though Jessup told him Chance hasn't spoken since Bitter Springs. Their one-sided conversation is cut short when they stumble on a charred corpse not far from a small, burning tribal village. Benny quickly determines that the man died when someone set him on fire and watched, while McMurphy notices a painted skull on the ground and concludes that the village is being ravaged by fiends. As the sun sets, the group plans on what to do next. They all agree that it'd be best to avoid the fiends, even though the Khans normally trade with them, since the fiends are clearly high on chems. McMurphy suggests circling back a few miles, but is denied by Benny, who doesn't want to miss the courier. Jessup bitterly laments that the NCR is supposed to protect the Mojave from such attacks as this, but McMurphy reminds him of Bitter Springs and is certain that the NCR help is the last thing the Khans need. It is then Jessup notices that Chance is missing. As he observes the pillaging, Chance is driven berserk by the sight of fire, which reminds him of Bitter Springs. He heads into battle, only armed with his knife, and begins slaughtering the fiends. McMurphy and Jessup prepare to help Chance, but Benny stops them. Since the fiends hadn't noticed them yet, Benny wants to leave Chance behind and make a clean getaway. Jessup protests, but McMurphy seems to initially side with Benny. Jessup decides to help Chance anyway, prompting McMurphy and the rest of the Great Khans, and even Benny, to follow him. Just as Chance is about to be overwhelmed, the rest of the Great Khans and Benny join in. Despite killing a large number of fiends, the group is quickly surrounded and is almost overwhelmed. Chance himself is stabbed and pinned to the ground, but manages to fight off his attacker. Just then, a flamer-wielding fiend shows up and blasts Chance and a group of fiends he was fighting, engulfing them in flames. Despite his injuries, Chance leaps towards his assailant and is able to bend the flame and nozzle towards the fiend, resulting in the raider burning the flesh of his own skull. They win the battle, but Chance is badly burned near death. McMurphy and Jessup consider giving Chance some of the drugs they looted from the fiends to make him live longer, but Benny is opposed to this idea, as Chance lost his cool even when he was sober, so there's no telling how he'll behave on chems. Benny instead tells the Khans to put Chance down, but reconsiders when they give him a threatening look. Barely conscious, Chance remembers the Bitter Springs massacre and how he was unable to prevent it. Benny approaches the injured Khan and offers him a cigarette, though Chance doesn't respond. Benny goes on to tell Chance a story about how the chairman used to be a tribe not dissimilar to the Khans, and how there was a singer that entertained them around a campfire. When the chairman became one of the families, the singer continued to sing much like he did back when they were nomads. The singer, however, longed for the old days. He sang songs about the time his tribe roamed the Mojave, and talked about how the chairman should return to that time. The problem was, as Benny puts it, the chairman began to feel nostalgic about their time as nomads because of the singer's songs. Benny says that the singer was unable to move on and so frequently got high, much like Chance is unable to move on from Bitter Springs. Benny then talks about how he's not like the singer and that he plans on ruling Vegas and never walking the Mojave again, instead making the Mojave walk to him. He then slips the psycho vial he got from Swank from his pocket and places it next to Chance. Benny hopes that Chance can pull through until the job is done, but offers him the vial so he can kill himself if he can't let go. Benny hopes Chance could pull through until the job is done, but offers him the vial so he can kill himself if he can't let go. Chance decides to take it and is found dead in the morning. McMurphy and Jessup are saddened by the passing of their friend. They decide to bury Chance. Benny protests, but decides to allow it when the Khans glare at him menacingly. Benny tells them to catch up when they're done, and they arrive to the Goodspring Cemetery and prepare to ambush the courier, as seen in the intro to Fallout New Vegas. Interestingly, the developers of New Vegas have made sure that the players can follow Benny and the Great Khan's journey, and many locations seen in All Roads can be visited in the game of New Vegas, such as the site of the Great Khan's slaughter, Bitter Springs, now overrun by the NCR. Chance's map is a fast travel location and map in the dirt that was carved by Chance on State Route 160. The tribal village in which Chase was badly burned is still present, with the bodies of the fiends littered about and now decomposed. And sadly, Chase's own grave is next to the village on the highway. Inside the grave is the unique combat knife, Chance's knife, which is extremely powerful for new players and, as seen in the graphic novel, still bears bloodstains on the blade. And also in the grave is his Great Khan's simple armor. The last location is seen is the Goodsprings Cemetery, where the novel ends and Benny and the Khans lie in wait to ambush the courier, as seen in New Vegas' intro.
You got what you were after, so pay up.
You're crying in the rain, Pally.
Guess who's waking up over here?
Time to cash out.
Will you get it over with?
Maybe Khans kill people without looking them in the face. But I ain't a fink. Dig? You've made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.